Hello everybody, my name is Paulo Oliveira and I'm here today to talk about chords. More specifically, I'm going to talk a little bit about the CAGED system. I've seen a lot of videos on the internet where people explain this system in different ways. My idea here today is just try to give you a very concise and straightforward instruction about how to find those chords on the neck. So let's get started. The word caged stands for the chord C, A, G, E, D. Before we do anything, we want to make sure that we know how to play those chords in as open string in the first position. So you'd have your first chord C, your second chord A, your third chord G, your fourth chord E, and your fifth chord D. So here's our caged system. Another thing that's really important is to know exactly where the base and the root of these chords are. So on C you have the C note here, which is the root. On A you have A, here the open A. So I shouldn't be playing the E, just the A. A lot of people when they're starting they tend to play the A chord like this, and this is not good. You wanna start from A, the fifth string. G. So then you're gonna have all these strings, you can play like this or like this. E, all the strings, and D, the same thing. Here you start on the fifth string, on the fifth, like on this one here, because you don't want this kind of sound. Yeah, this is not good. So first four strings. Great. Once you know those chords and you're aware of the bass note is, you can start moving these chords around. So we are going to start with the E chord because that's the easiest one. E is your chord, and here is your bass is the open E. What I want you to really understand here is that what we are trying to do, we are trying to use this shape to create other chords. So from that E, using that shape, you can create an F chord just by going up a half step. So imagine that my index finger here is pressing the strings, this imaginary bar chord here, right? So that's your E chord, you have that imaginary bar chord, you go up half step, then you have F. F is your chord, so E to F. See that my bar here is pressing first, second string, and string number 6. I mean, they are pressing all of them, but I'm putting more pressure on first, second, and 6, and then the other fingers on the other strings. That's also a good tip for bar chords. You don't need to press everything. You only need to press the strings that were previously open, right? So you have this chord, you go up half step, 1, 2, and 6. Okay. So, and if you know your chromatic scale, from here you can find any chord you want, any major chord, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, and so on. So that's here the example for the E shape. Now let's go to the A shape. The same idea applies. A, here is your open string, fifth string, A. You're also gonna need this imaginary bar chord here. We don't need that string at all. That string won't be played. So your bass note's gonna be here. So you go up half step. Then you have this chord, the B flat or A sharp. So A, go up half step, A sharp. And this one is just interesting to think about this. Like you press the first string and also the fifth string. You don't really need to be pressing strings 2, 3, and 4. See See, when I play the chord, see those two strings I press, but those strings here in the middle, I'm barely pressing them. Alright, great. And then you can move it chromatically: B flat, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp or E flat, and so on. Now let's try our C shape. When we are going to work with the caged chords and try to transpose the chords, I always tell my students to try to build the chords without using the index finger. So you'd be doing like playing a C chord like this, right? And then you have the imaginary bar, and the root of C is on the 5th string. So here you go up half step, you get C sharp. C sharp is a half step above C, can also be called D flat, and then you keep going up D and E flat. Okay, just keep that in mind. And your bar chord, you're really gonna be worried about pressing strings 1 and 3 because everything else is taken care of. Great. And now let's jump to the G shape. So this one is a little trickier because you have the G chord right here, but your bar chord, your imaginary bar chord, is not here, but it's here, right? So it's a little bit of a stretch. So when you go up half step, you have a little bit of a stretch. So that's a G sharp or A flat chord. Now we are going to move that G sharp up to A or B flat. Another option with this chord is just to get rid of the first string, and rather than playing it like this, you can just play it like this, right? So use fingers 4 and 3 here to play the chord. It's a little easier. And actually, if you're playing like going from the A shape to the C shape, it's kind of an easy transition. Okay, now let's talk about our last shape, which is the D shape. This is your chord, so you play the chord with those 3 fingers here. For this one, you don't even need a bar because you only have one open string, which is the 4th string, the root D. So you only need to press that note with your index finger. So that's the D chord. Then you go up a half step, you get E flat. And E flat here is your bass, your lowest note, or E, or F, and so on. So just a quick review then. Caged system, you have C, A, G, E, D, C shape, can be moved. A shape, can be moved, the bass here is on the 5th string. The G shape is the stretchy one. The E shape, this one is very well known, very popular, and last one, the D shape. Okay, now I'm gonna suggest you another way of practicing the caged chords. Is trying to play one key, like the same chord 5 times on the neck, by using all the 5 shapes to play the same chord. I'll explain. What happens is the chords are laid out on the neck following the caged order, C, A, G, E, D. So our first chord here is C. So our second chord is going to be the A shape. So I still, what I'm trying to do here is to play C chord 5 times with 5 different shapes. So the next shape is going to be the A shape, and they actually share the same bass. So here's your bass, your next chord is right here. If you come back, you see that this chord comes from the A shape here to here. So C chord, C shape, C chord, A shape. Right now, following the word caged, the next one would be the G shape. So the G shape is right here. So you have to count G, A, B, C. So here is your chord. Here is your C chord, G shape. So C, C, and then C. So an easy way is just look at the chord. You have those 3 fingers here. That's where your bar is gonna go, and then you make sure you grab your root. All right. Then next note would be E, right? C-A-G-E. Then E, that's gonna be your root right here, and they shapes G and E also share the same bass. Last but not least is our D shape. So on guitar, if you are able to see the octave here, those are 2 same notes but an octave apart. That's where your next chord is gonna be. You can see it right here. So what happens here is you have your D chord and you're going all the way down, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, until you get way down there on your C chord using the D shape. With that information, you'll be able to play major chords anywhere on the neck. And again, this is CAGED chords just with major chords for now. And a good exercise is to choose one part of the neck and try to play a song or anything in the same place without changing chords. For example, you could play a progression like a 1-4-5 progression like this: C, F, G here, but you could also play it here: C, F, G. You could also play it here: C, F, G. Or you could also play it right here: C, F, G. So that would be a really good way to practice those. You choose a progression. You might want to pick a very simple song that has maybe 2 or 3 major chords and try to play them in different places on the fretboard. That's a way where you're gonna get quicker at finding those chords. One last exercise I'm gonna suggest for those who know a little music theory: you can play the chords through the cycle fourths, meaning you play C and then your next chord is gonna be F. So C, D, E, F. Then B flat, E flat, E flat. If you don't know cycle fourths, that's something that you probably wanna check out. It's a really important theoretical concept. So you'd have C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, and then so on. All right, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment down below. I can try to answer. And my goal here is to help you get better at guitar. If you enjoyed this content, please make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. That'll help this video to reach more people. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.